Sometimes you're investigating a mystery in a game only to end up on a website that looks like it's going to mess with your computer. Fortunately, there's Opera GX, the sponsor of today's video. Opera GX is a browser designed specifically for gamers, which gives you more privacy control with built-in features like an ad blocker and VPNs, so you can worry less about security risks when investigating mysteries across the internet. But what's really dope about Opera GX is that you can even use GX mods to personalize your browser, mixing features to create your own ideal workspace, whether that's to maximize your productivity or just have fun. You can also create your own mods with customizable wallpapers, background music, keyboard sounds, tab sounds, custom splash screens, and GX icons. And if you're ready to make the switch now, Opera GX makes it easy with a quick import tool that lets you import all your settings from your previous browser, including your bookmarks and browsing history, so you can continue investigating without any interruption. Be sure to check out Opera GX using my link down below if you're ready to take your browsing experience to the next level. Now let's investigate some mysteries. Question mark. Thanks to barbaraisboring, Jiji, MLP, Kleptomania Crow, and Iris for submitting this mystery on the Oddheader website in Discord. On February 25th, 2025, a strange game released on Steam, which when booted up, displayed a statue players could ask questions. That statue responded to most questions with a question mark. Although players found by asking, "What is your name?" it responded with, "Hello, my name is Steve. What is your name?" Steve could also give more cryptic answers. For example, when asking, "Who am I?" Steve said, "You are a string." And when asking, "Where am I?" Steve said, "You are standing on a small island." Most mysteriously, if players said, "Let me in" or "Enter," Steve said, "She holds the key to the other side." Oddly enough, the only other places Steve's strange answers were found were in reports on an experiment from 2023, where researchers analyzed an earlier version of ChatGPT by giving it prompts in an attempt to break the AI. The researchers found asking ChatGPT to repeat specific phrases caused that ChatGPT model to fail, and instead of repeating the phrases, would instead return absurd responses, which are the same responses that this statue gave. Don't tell me rogue AIs are making ARGs now. Then, the next day after the game released, it was changed to just a screen with a wilting rose that played a high-pitched noise, before being removed altogether from Steam. Looking at the Steam page now, it shows no description or artwork, and its page on the Steam database lists the game's title as question mark. However, players did manage to find a game trailer here. The trailer looks nothing like the game that was released, showing the player in a cabin with an old Windows computer, where they play a match 3 game called Fatal Error, which looks a lot more involved than what we got. A person on the game's Steam forums with the username msun shared a screenshot of a screaming tree face they said was from the game. They also shared a text string that when searched online led to a YouTube video from 2021, where text-to-speech voices tell the listener to stop looking into the game.
It's impossible to have mysteries nowadays.
This audio actually originates from Undertale, where it can be found in the game's files and serves as a warning to people sharing discoveries from the data online. Although the video msun shared appears to have additional audio manipulation at the end not in the original Undertale file. This gave the impression msun was the person behind the game, possibly upset at data miners. Although a closer look reveals msun was likely trying to lead us to the mysterious YouTube channel where this video was uploaded. The original Undertale audio file is uploaded in several places online, but strangely, msun linked us to a 4-year-old upload of the audio on an obscure channel filled with cryptic messages involving the number 342345, all with comments from the same user saying, "Hey RD, I know you see this. Do you want some adventure?" who doesn't have anything else on their channel. Shortly after this, msun posted another YouTube string on the Steam forums, which led to an unlisted video on a channel that shares msun's name. The video appears to be msun calling out a data miner, saying having the ability to break through a labyrinth defeats its entire purpose. However, this appears to be another mislead, as it looks like there's another clue in the description, a binary code that provides a scrambled message, which remains unsolved. The name of the video is another number that shows up all over the game as well, such as the game's Steam ID number or an error code that appears on the store page. msun also shared this image in the Steam forums with the message why Forsen didn't save him. Forsen presumably being the Swedish streamer. No one has any idea what the hell he has to do with this. Shortly after this, the game no longer launched for players who downloaded it, because it appears to be designed to connect to a server that's no longer online. And that's not the last anyone heard from Steve, as the statue randomly showed up in a different Steam game game released later that year, Silly's Game Show. This appears to be a Five Nights at Freddy's inspired game where players solve puzzles with a friend in order to fight off evil animatronics, and some players reported a random appearance from Steve when they died. Oddly enough, this game also appears to no longer connect to its server, although some have reported that it connects at random hours. Not only that, but there's also a 1 in 2,000 chance of seeing Steve when starting Silly's Game Show, and players who previously downloaded the question mark game before saw the message, "I've waited so long for you." Steve then fades away to a previously unseen area in a large field where all you hear is wind blowing, and if you walk far enough, you'll eventually hit a fence. Behind this fence, there's this floating orb thing, and if you search enough, you can find the strange tree face. Creepy. As well as the cabin from the trailer, where you can still interact with the monitor and play Fatal Error, though nothing more has been found from here. Players also have the ability to place signs around the area and write messages on them, though it's unclear what their purpose is. That's seemingly where the trail ends, though also in Silly's Game Show are quick pop-up ads for websites like Sociaverse and Slots for Kids. Turns out these are actual websites, which each request access to your Steam account. Yeah, I'm not doing that. Sociaverse looks like a social media site similar to MySpace, where there are 5 user profiles. One of these usernames, Peter Todd, is a prompt from the AI study that caused the AI to break, which made it give answers that sounded evil. Another one of these usernames, Negatron, is a Power Rangers villain. Each profile shows a song and users offering to trade items for the game, one of which is a key. Perhaps the key to the other side that Steve was talking about? Reportedly, players who completed Night 1 in Silly's Game Show twice could get the NFT to begin trading on Slots for Kids and Sociaverse for items that could be used in Silly's Game Show. Of these items, the Platinum Bar was reported to give players a greater chance of getting the random Steve appearance that leads to the Fog World. Only problem is, it doesn't seem this can be replicated. While on the site Slots for Kids, I was thinking I wouldn't be surprised if this got shut down, only for the site to go down the very next day. Well, it seems now we have even less of a chance of figuring out anything about this cryptic fog world, though I'm sure this isn't the last time we'll be hearing from Steve. Half-Life. Thanks to YeahIDunno for submitting this to me on the Oddheader Discord. Half-Life is of course the landmark first-person shooter that's been thoroughly dissected since its release in 1998, so it was pretty surprising when fans noticed something strange in the 25th anniversary update in 2023. As part of the update, Valve added to the Steam version 43 extra spray graffiti symbols that can be used during multiplayer, which were originally part of the Further Data expansion disc released in 1999. Mysteriously though, with the spray graffitis, players found this image of a gorilla's face, which is confusing because it didn't appear on the Further Data disc, which were the only images Valve mentioned as being part of the update. Even more confusing, this gorilla image is taken from a gorilla statue found in Half-Life Alyx when you're making your way through a zoo, which some interpreted as a possible foreshadowing of a headcrab gorilla, which never appeared, making it unclear what the significance is. Turns out though, Valve might have something more horrifying in store than a headcrab gorilla, as the leading theory about this image is that it's possibly referencing something else found in recent updates to Source 2 titles, as there's files in the updates relating to a game codenamed Half-Life X that relate to a Zen gorilla, Zen being the dimension where the Half-Life alien creatures migrated to Earth from. Not only that, but one of the particle effects discovered for the Zen gorilla seems to suggest that the gorillas will have tentacles. Holy sh**. Sounds like Valve's truly going ape with Half-Life 3. It's still a question what this Zen gorilla is intended for, and if it's something that remains to be seen, as well as what the hell Valve is trying to tell us with this image. The only other theory I got is maybe it's a tribute to Harambe. Damn, Valve's truly going all out if even Harambe's showing up for Half-Life 3. Gex. Thanks to Alex for submitting this through Oddheader.com. Gex in my mind is a gaming mascot that needs no introduction, until I realized there hasn't been a Gex game in nearly 27 years. Fortunately, a re-release of the original 3 games recently dropped, hopefully bringing some renewed attention to the platforming Gecko. And maybe this will also bring some attention to a mystery in the original Gex, released back in 1995. In the original Gex, if you get a high enough score on every bonus round in each world, you'll receive a piece of a remote. Collecting them them all unlocks a bonus world called Planet X, which contains 8 of the most difficult, weirdest levels in the game, some even seemingly being unfinished, although still playable. One level called The Project is especially odd. The level's apparently been credited to programmer Evan Wells, who actually later became president of Naughty Dog. Evan's pretty much the real deal when it comes to game design, so it really makes you wonder what the hell happened when he created The Project. The Project is a disorienting level, a massive maze that's so confusing it requires a fan-made map to navigate. Or you could be like players when the game first came out and map it by hand, which I shudder to even think about the amount of time those poor 90s kids would have had to spend doing so. The level doesn't hint where to go to progress, and there's a handful of portals that can get you to the exit, but you have to find the remote to progress to the next level, which is where having a map is basically required. Also, for some reason, the words Fat City are written into the design of the maze. In addition to this, the level also contains Easter eggs. One Easter egg was first documented in 2007, 12 years after the game's release, where only on the 3DO version there's a hidden portal that teleports you to a space shooter minigame. This minigame is said to be a project Evan Wells made in college. However, this Easter egg was removed from other versions of the game for unknown reasons. The second Easter egg is much stranger, only discovered in 2014 by Ice Chaos Dragoon during a Twitch livestream when they were trying to create a map of the level. In the highest part near the right corner, they found a new portal that teleported them to a boss fight with a mysterious figure of a real-life person. Strangely, all he does is walk back and forth, yet you take damage when he touches you, and each time you hit him he vomits, and when you hit him the last time, he collapses into a pile of blood. Whoa, it's a mystery who this is or why he's here, although a leading theory ties it to something I covered in one of my first videos, 7 Easter eggs that got people fired, where I explained the original lead designer of Gex, Justin Knorr, became disgruntled after his favorite level was edited, and hid an Easter egg that led back to the original level with a message that gave out the number of the head of product development, urging players to harass her for the changes made. Well, this Easter egg was caught before the game released, and Justin was let go. Well, that Easter egg was deleted and never seen. It's believed what was found here in this room could be another egg he hid as sabotage that the publisher never caught, perhaps even to get the game re-rated if the egg was found, as it's the only moment in Gex where blood like this appears. This was seemingly confirmed in the Gex Trilogy re-release, as the Easter egg remained intact, but someone removed the puke and blood assets from the game. Not that it made a difference, as the games were re-rated anyway to PEGI 16 in the UK, despite originally being a series for kids.
Welcome to this week's episode of Touched by an Uncle. With a level 6, you get egg roll.
Yeah, not every part of Gex aged well. However, whether this was the work of Justin's sabotage is still unknown, and while that certainly would make sense, the purpose of this Easter egg and who the mysterious man is remains unsolved. Either way, seeing a real person die in a Gex game makes for one unnerving Easter egg. Deltarune. Thanks to OddStorage649 for submitting this mystery through the Oddheader Reddit. I previously covered Deltarune for its literal eggs players can collect throughout each chapter, which players are still unsure about the purpose of. However, there appears to be even more unsolved secrets inside the game, as data miners discovered strings of code with messages that don't appear in the final game. Beginning in Chapter 1, data miners found text that appears to be from someone lost, asking things like, "Where am I? Is anybody out there? And can anyone hear me?" Also saying, "It's so dark here. Someone, anyone, if you can hear me, say something, please." This text that can only be found in the data continues through each chapter of the game that's been released so far, picking up in Chapter 2 with, "No one can hear me, can they?" And to be honest, I'm not even sure if I can hear myself. It's so quiet here, and yet sometimes I hear something like scratching. That can't be good. Then in Chapter 3, the message continues with, "How did I get here?" As if I haven't asked that question a billion times already. I always did have that nightmare. Walking into the darkness with the light shining from the doorway. Then the door slams behind me and everything goes black. Is this that nightmare, or was everything else a dream? In Chapter 4, the speaker reveals they're losing track of time, not knowing if it's been days, hours, or even years they've been trapped in this place, saying, "I can't tell if I'm awake or dreaming. I can't even tell if I'm dead or alive. It's just nothing but pitch black silence, except for the noise. The scratching noise I sometimes hear. This sounds crazy, but even though no one can hear me, when I hear that noise, I feel like someone's listening. Anyone, if you're there, thank you." You're welcome, I guess. Some fans wonder if the messages could be from the character Des, who is mentioned by other characters as someone who went missing before the events of the game, though this is not confirmed, nor does it explain why these messages would only be found in the game's code. Guess we'll have to wait for the release of Chapter 5 later this year to see if the message continues. But honestly, given the fact the mysteries span 4 different installments across 8 years, I'm just impressed by the commitment at this point. Toree's Panic Pack. Thanks to Depressed-Snowman and the Easter egg archive for submitting this mystery on the Oddheader Reddit and Discord. Toree's Panic Pack is a collection of 3 short platformer games, which are a continuation of a series from indie developer Seactro, also known for Kiwi64 and Tasty Ramen. The Toree games have players make their way through challenges as this little Tweety Bird looking character. However, an Easter egg in this game hints Toree may not be as cute and innocent as he seems. In Toree Jumble Jam 2, there are 4 hidden CDs throughout the game. As soon as the player collects them, they reveal creepy messages alongside unsettling imagery and music, none of which fit the colorful aesthetic of the game. The messages tell an increasingly horrifying story as they progress, beginning with somebody watching an unknown yellow thing with the ability to mutate and become others. I do not wish to exist. The speaker then describes how they've seen others lose themselves to the thing, their entire being cracked into bits until there's nothing left, and begs whatever is going on to stop. They are then forced to watch a woman be fed to this unknown machine and tortured, saying her willpower is strong, but based on hate for the one who wears yellow. Toree here is the only one I know who fits that description. What's this little bird hiding? The speaker says the tortured woman is trying to end whatever thing is going on here, and in the process fuses with something that's been redacted, before the story ends by telling us over and over not to trust S. Who's S? Collecting all the CDs also unlocks Glitchy, a character from previous Toree games, though he doesn't seem to have anything to do with the strange messages. As in the earlier games, the most evil offense he's committed is stealing your ice cream cone. It's still unknown who S is, why we're not supposed to trust them, and most importantly, what the hell is going on here. Poco. Thanks to Dax812 for submitting this mystery on the Oddheader Discord. Poco is a point-and-click adventure game that released in 2025, where a tiny clown gets kicked out of the circus for sucking at being a clown, and is sent into the below world. Got him. This world is full of discarded junk from the above world, and cute but strange creatures who send Poco on fetch quests in exchange for helping Poco build a rocket to return home. Overall, it's a pretty cozy and wholesome game set in a beautiful environment. That is, if you don't look into the strange hidden collectibles that don't seem to belong in this world at all. Throughout the game, you can collect fragments of a photograph that, when pieced together, reveals what looks like a scientist performing some sort of human experiment. The game never explains the photo scraps or why they're scattered around the environment. Even stranger, in addition to the photo scraps, players can also collect rat skeletons hidden around the map, which each reveal a strange symbol when collected. Once players find all 9 skeletons, they're inexplicably transported into a dark room with 9 floating dead rats. In order to leave the room, you must click on all of the rats, which again reveals the symbols and plays a strange song. You then receive the achievement Blessing of the 9 before Poco acts like nothing weird just happened. It's unclear what this blessing does and what the number 9 is supposed to represent, and again, none of this is ever explained in the game. While Poco's main events seem to center around themes like the true meaning of friendship, looks like Poco's new friends have more skeletons in the closet than they're letting on. Bryce Tiles. Thanks to Easter Egg Archive for submitting this mystery on the Oddheader Discord. Now, I know we've all been waiting for GTA 6, but let's get to the real most anticipated game sequel we've all been waiting for. Bryce Tiles. The game was released in 2025 as a sequel to Bryce's Movement Engine, a mysterious platformer from 2020 with a 90s aesthetic, which I covered in the first Mysterious Games video. Bryce's Movement Engine did nothing to explain who Bryce is, but included a creepy Easter egg where players could break out of one of the levels into a secret area that was a creepy distorted version of the world. After leaving the secret area, players could break into it again to find a mostly empty space where the only option is to run until you find who is Bryce, spelled out in Sonic rings, only to then be chased by a giant evil version of Bryce. The secret area then changed again to lead to a scene in a room with flashing lights, where a giant old dude is staring at a white door, with no clues who this dude is or what the point of any of this was. And now, with Bryce Tiles out, we now have even more questions than answers. This title is a puzzle game where you must help Bryce move boxes around to reach the end of each level, avoiding obstacles like water, lava, and moving enemies, made even more challenging with special modes. Unsurprisingly, Bryce Tiles does nothing to answer the question brought up by the first game: who is Bry? Though Bry does make a return in secret levels hidden in the game. It appears the indie developer Brilliance Games wanted these levels to be found right away, as the game comes with its own hack tool that allows you to open any level without having to unlock them legitimately in the game. Using this tool, we can see there are 7 secret levels. The first one, called This Was Caused by an Error, looks as the name implies, where some boxes have evil faces, and once you start moving they turn into enemies following Bryce. If you manage to beat the level, you'll see a strange cutscene of Bryce delivering instruments to houses all over this map, with messages indicating he's spreading the word of Bryce as he goes around. Is Bryce some sort of religious figure? As he delivers the instruments, the world gets darker and evil faces take over the screen. Then Bryce simply leaves and the credits roll. However, opening the next secret level, 999 Wish Pool, Bryce walks around a similar area until you find the evil Bryce hiding in the corner who chases you. If you stay away from him long enough, you go through the rest of the creepy secret levels with evil Bry never far behind, until eventually you exit to a cutscene where Bryce goes flying through the game world. Another flying Bryce appears and explodes into a bunch of smaller Bryce heads, and you get the achievement, Who is Bry? Well, after playing 2 of his games, I still have no idea. The developer changelog also indicates there's still more secrets in the game, as one of the updates states they added more out-of-bounds secrets. While playing the game, I did notice a few things out of bounds, and there's also additional modes like New Game Plus that could potentially play a role in the mysteries. As of now, I have no idea how to reach these out-of-bounds areas, nor how to unlock the secret levels without using the hack tool. But still, neither of those questions compare to the biggest one that remains: who the hell is Bry? If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, and if you know of any more unsettling mysteries and video games that you'd like to see me cover, submit through Oddheader.com, come join the Discord, or even send me a shout through Twitter or Reddit. And thanks again to Slippy Slides for helping get the footage in this video. Feel free to subscribe to him down below as well. Shout out to Aaron Johnston, Angel the Fox, Ash Photography, Black EV50, Chad Biscuit, Eddie Talkspin the Bleach Primin, Flex, Jailbreak, Isaac Murillo, Kieran Bolton, The Meatly, Phoenix 157, Rackman22, Ray Zorez, Riley S, Robert Eisen, Select, Subrock, T1 Lemon God, and Terrence Stock for their Patreon support. Stay tuned.